We on YouTube and okay, good. Mariner. Okay. Well, this morning, everyone, before I call this meeting to order, we're going to give some time to Public Works and Emergency Services to give us an update on some of our flooding over the weekend. So that way we can kind of get that information out, and then we'll call this meeting. And so, Steve, do you want to start with Public Works to update us on some of the issues that are going on, please?
Certainly. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We started getting rain Friday, and we had just part of the J.E. Fuller contract was to go in and establish rain gauges through the burn scar. They had got those in Friday, the last of them, and from the Kellner gauge, Friday through Sunday, we reported anywhere, Six Shooter Canyon reported over 3 inches of rain through those days. Signal Peak, which drains into Kellner and Ice House, reported 1.89. Russell Gulch, 1.54. Kellner, 0.6. Pinnacle Creek, about 0.9. So based on all of that, the flooding started Friday night in Russell Gulch. It almost went over the little box culvert at the entrance to the hospital. It come through the lower end of our road yard. And up, way up Russell, it hung on a private bridge, come out in the road, flooded out one mobile home downstream from it. And then we probably had water for a mile, half a mile down our road, debris that we started cleaning up the next day, which would have been the 3rd. We got everything cleaned up in the morning on Russell Road, and then it started raining that afternoon. We had water in Ice House, Kellner, the Miami Wash, and Russell Gulch Run again. Closed the entrance to the hospital. We got all of that stuff cleaned up the next morning. Opened back up Thursday, or the 4th of July, that Sunday afternoon. A localized storm hit Wheatfields and Claypool. Residents were saying over 3 inches of rain in their rain gauge in Wheatfields. Flooded a bunch of the roads we have down there. And in Claypool, everything that just comes off the normal monsoons, it dealt with that. But it was a lot worse than normal. We had places on Calle de Loma where it raised the asphalt up. It got underneath some of the drainages, and we were raising up pieces of asphalt. And then, of course, it hit Six Shooter. I think there was 1.5 inches of rain that evening on the Six Shooter gauge, and the water came and did a lot of damage. I don't have a damage report. I saw something from the sheriff's office that listed off probably 15 parcels, and that was just going through. I was up there, kind of stuck in it. I had went to see what was going on, got above the box culvert when it hit and couldn't get back below, and then it broke out on the road. But the 2 houses I was by, water run probably 3-4 foot deep through them. There was 2 Conex boxes on properties above the old 66 Ranch, which sits in the Y at the end of Six Shooter. It floated a 40-footer and a 20-footer. The 40-footer probably over half a mile. It went over 2 or 3 bridges. The 20-footer about a quarter of a mile before it hung up. I did hear that one of the homes in I don't know the name of the park. It used to be Pueblo Heights, right on the road. It lifted up one of those mobile homes and moved it 2 or 3 feet. Whether that's right or not, I don't know. But substantial damage all the way down Six Shooter. We got it cleaned up. We brought contractors in to help us on Six Shooter and Six Shooter and Calle de Loma Claypool yesterday. We got everything cleaned up and kind of opened up at about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, something like that. We're back out there this morning working. We have probably half a dozen contractors working everywhere from the Bloody Tanks Wash to Six Shooter. We have them in Kellner and Ice House where we have permission jumping around. Once it can dry out a little bit through the city of Globe, we'll start bringing people in there and working. We're continuing to do the sandbags. I think I don't know how many sandbags we've felt. I would guess probably over 20,000 by now, and then the prison is filling by hand, and we're hauling them out of there. residents are, we're using them. We still have quite a few for them to come get. The city's been coming and getting them yesterday, staging them around. It's about all I can think of. If you got questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Steve. Sounds like you're handling it. Do you have everything you need?
We do. We're doing the best we can, but yeah, we have the resources and got a really great crew on Public Works that they've worked. They've probably been going 14 days straight now. And then this last 4 days, being shorthanded, holidays and stuff, the ones that were around, I mean, they stepped up and they went daylight to dark. But,
Well,
yeah.
I personally appreciate very much all that hard work, and we couldn't have gotten a worse rainstorm, it sounds like. I mean, a little bit of monsoons would have been okay, but not a world record one.
And we were hoping for a reprieve here for
Yeah.
the future and let us get some work done.
Make sure you express our thanks to all those.
I certainly will.
Supervisor Klein?
Steve, thanks. Have you had any word on the south side of the mountain, like towards Dripping Springs? Are they getting any damage on that side?
The gauges only showed about half an inch at Dripping Springs. The person at Government Springs he can get out by four-wheel drive, but he has all of his feed stored at the /S Ranch. We're sending a blade over there today to open that up so he can at least get better vehicles in and out to get feed to his animals. We've heard secondhand of El Capitan, but we haven't been in there.
And then are we getting anything coming down Ranch Creek into the reservation? How are they doing? Do you know?
I haven't heard. I don't know. We haven't. No one's called us and contacted us
Okay.
about anything like that I'm aware of. Maybe emergency management, but not in through Public Works.
And then I think, Chairman, didn't you tell me Tunnel Basin had a little rain? Or are they getting hammered as well? Or does anybody know?
They have had some. I don't think the extent that's caused the problems, but they have had water running. We've had people out there watching, and I failed to mention, I forgot, Roosevelt. Campaign Creek Run, we're not sure when. We're thinking maybe it was Friday or Saturday. It has filled in, and currently Mesquite Drive across Campaign is closed, but there are alternate ways out. We just haven't had time to get in there.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions, but the thing of it is it's something we'll have to work through because those people that are flooded with, 3 feet of mud in their helm, we're going to have to try to find help for them, and I don't know if the governor's money for that is available, and I know that's something we're all going to need to work out, but we do have a lot of people with a lot of flood issues that if, the governor wants to throw $100 million out and there's some federal money, these people really need help cleaning up their properties, and I'm sure that we will be able to work that out because we don't have the answers right now because it just happened day before. But it is something that we are working hard on, correct?
I believe so. Mr. O'Driscoll can answer that better than I can. I think he's in contact with them, and he's
Okay.
here to speak next, I believe.
Good. Anybody from the computer want to have any questions of Public Works? Okay, but they do know that they're welcome to have a question if they care to. Okay.
And
thank you.
additionally, I forgot to mention, the city of Globe called a impromptu quick meeting Friday after receiving a lot of calls. County staff attended that meeting and answered questions the public had at that meeting also.
Okay, good. Thank you
All right,
very
thank you.
much, Steve. Mr. O'Driscoll from Emergency Services. Many hats. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. So, this morning, Steve said it perfectly, all the activity that's going on the last couple days. And this morning, my team is out there with a drone, and the list that the sheriff gave us about possible damage, flood damage to homes and properties, about 15. We're going to start with those. So thank you, Sheriff, for your team. That was a great start. We're going to go house to house and do some damage assessment. That's what they're doing right now. And then we do have calls for possibly a couple more. And as of right now, we've received no calls from El Capitan or Dripping Springs area for flood damage. So I think we're good over there. But we have at least 15 possible damaged homes that we're going to work on today to at least start documenting what happened to their properties. So.
Okay, and like Team Rubicon going to come back, or any
We
of
put
those
in a
people
request.
for?
Yeah, we put in a request 2 days ago, sir, to have them come back out, and they are, I think we were told this morning they're going to be coming back out here to help.
Okay, and they're going to help with some of the private property issues that
Correct.
people are dealing with?
Correct.
Excellent. Thank you. And yeah, I'd like updates on those because I'm getting a lot of calls. I know a lot of the people personally. And so, yeah, I would like to know kind of what we're able to do for them and kind of some of the things we're reaching for.
Absolutely.
Go ahead if you,
That's all I
That's
have
all.
as far as that goes. We'll know more later on today when we look at the damage assessments for the homes, and we're taking photos, we're documenting everything, so I'll be able to give an update to the board and county administration probably later this afternoon or early this evening.
thank you very much. Supervisor Christensen, question?
Yeah, thank you. Michael, will some of this damage that's occurred, will we have access to the money where the governor just signed that recent bill?
I put in a request to see if we can. It's my understanding that this is for post-fire flooding mitigation money, not necessarily, home damage, repairs, those kinds of things. But I'm asking.
Okay.
And I'll let the board know when I hear back from the director of DEMA and director of DIFM on that.
Thank you.
Supervisor Klein?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Michael, some of these folks that are displaced, getting flooded out and stuff, do we have anything set up where they can go to, or is there any need there? Do they have needs?
We had the Red Cross ready to go with a shelter, but we didn't find any need for it, so we
Okay.
didn't stand up the shelter. But we do have a location set aside just in case we do need that. But right now, we haven't received any calls that the shelter's needed.
All right, thanks.
You bet, sir.
And reaching for funding and stuff, if we need to make calls or send letters as a board, or we need to call our senators or whoever to help with some of this, it's their fires, so we need help. So let us know if we need to help push.
I certainly will, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for your reports this morning.
You bet.
We good on? Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. Now we'll start our meeting this morning. I will call to order the regular meeting Tuesday, July 6th, 2021, like 10:10. Sheriff, would you lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, and our invocation will be done today by Mr. Jeff Dalton. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Father in heaven, we pause in the flurry of activity this morning to take a few moments here and address Thee. We give Thee thanks at this time of year for the freedoms that we have, especially the freedom to exercise religion and do such things as this, to offer public prayer and solicitation of Thee. At this time we acknowledge our dependence upon Thee. We know that we are dependent upon Thee for each breath that we draw and for life itself. And we are certainly not capable, even though we try the best we can, to control the forces that are upon us. We're thankful for what we have received, but we acknowledge our dependence upon Thee for blessings and protection from the difficulties faced by fire, flood, and other problems. We ask for Thy blessings to be upon us, to protect us. Help us to do the best we can to protect ourselves, but we know that we need Thy comfort and guidance and protection. We pray for that. We pray for Thy Spirit to be upon our leaders, our supervisors, and the wisdom. They will have Thy wisdom in making decisions this day. We do this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, this morning, number 2, presentations. Public recognition of 4 employees through the county Spotlight on Employees program as follows. Do you want to introduce them?
Certainly.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So, of course, we do have 4 employees that were nominated for our Spotlight on Employees program for July. We had 1 group nomination for Helene Lopez, Janet Ostrom, and Leslie Johnson. Their nomination read, so during the COVID pandemic, social distancing caused community services clientele to stay home and not participate in scheduled activities. Finance has been working to complete a physical capital asset inventory that was also delayed due to COVID. Helene, Leslie, and Janet volunteered to support the inventory and get it back on track. The strategic plan's focus area of responsible resource management was demonstrated by diverting employees to fully utilize them on a project while awaiting the return of clients. Our core value of teamwork between community services and finance is a shining example on how we can all work together to accomplish goals. Thank you for your invaluable assistance. And this was submitted by the finance department. First and foremost, we have Helene, who's with community services, and she's been employed with the county for 10 years and 3 months. Helene, if you'd like to come up.
Thank you, guys. Just thanks. We had a blast.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And up in Payson, we have Janet Ostrom, who's also with Community Services. She's been employed with the county 8 years and 3 months. And Janet. Oh. And if you wanted to say. All right, and we have Leslie Johnson, who's been with the county 3 years and 1 month. Leslie?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next spotlight is for Elizabeth Lopez. Her nomination read, numerous times in the past few months, I have needed recorded documents that are not online. Normally, this would require a trip to the courthouse and going through microfilm in the recorder's office to find the information. Now, with a message or a call to Elizabeth, she'll find the documents, scan them, and email them to me. This has saved hours of my time or staff time in getting the information. Elizabeth is an asset to the county and provides great customer service. This was submitted by Director Steve Sanders. Elizabeth is with the recorder's office and has been employed with the county for 1 year and 8 months. Elizabeth?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that does conclude our presentation.
If I may ask, I noticed you gave them a little card. Is it a gift card?
Gift card to Walmart, correct?
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Yeah, no, that's good. I just wanted everybody to know that what you were giving them.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you very, very much. And employees, thank you very much for all that you do to help us help people. Thank you. 2B, presentation of April 30th, 2021 Gila County financial data as it compares to the fiscal year 2021 Gila County budget and fiscal year 2020 year-to-date performance. Marion Billings, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, member supervisors. This is our regular monthly report. It's a little late because of when deadlines fell, but we wanted to make sure that you have this information, and this information will be reproduced in the 2022 budget book also, so that all of our constituents can go back and look at it without having to go through all of the agenda items. There are not many changes from March to April. We are ahead of where we would be for revenue. The revenue target for April would have been 83%, and we were at 87% at the end of April. And our expenses for operating were Also, we're under where we would have expected to be. We would have expected to be at 83% of year-to-date budget, and we were at 79%. Salaries and employee-related expenses were at 69% of budget, and the combined total of operating expenses and salaries and EREs was at 73%. In general, the general fund was doing well and continued to do strongly throughout the rest of the year. And I did notice a typo on the agenda item, so I will get that fixed before it becomes official anywhere. And the only other thing of note, we do like to point out property taxes were 2.8 million ahead of where they were a year ago, and that is due to increases in centrally assessed values and the timing of larger payer payments in the preceding year. April 30th, the preceding year, was the beginning of COVID, and we had some of our taxpayers were a little hesitant on timing. And then we also were seeing at the end of April, vehicle lieu tax was $290,000 ahead of the previous year. Excise tax, which is the county sales tax, was $671,000 ahead of the year before, and state shared sales tax was $274,000 ahead of the prior year. Would you like me to go straight into May, or do you have questions on this?
Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Thank you. No, not at this time.
Supervisor Klein,
I'm
questions?
good, thanks.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so this would be agenda item 2C, which looks at where we were at May 31st, which is a little more up to date than the April one.
Wait, hold on. Okay, yeah, no, I need to read it.
Oh,
Because
sorry.
it's a different
Yep.
deal. Okay, 2C, presentation of May 31, 2021 Gila County financial data as it compares to the fiscal year 2021 Gila County budget and fiscal year 2020 year-to-date performance. There you go.
Okay, thank you. So since we just came out of April talking about where we were with revenue, at the end of May, our revenue was 2.95 million more in property taxes compared to the year before. Auto lieu tax was $365,000 ahead of the year before. Excise tax, which is county sales tax, was $395,000 ahead of the year before. And then non-business licenses and permits picked up a little bit and came in at $149,000 more than the year before. We are seeing at the end of May a little bit of lag in investments and PILT. We did get PILT in time for the fiscal year end. We're seeing a little bit of lag in charges for services for public safety, mostly because those are in special revenue funds this year. Same with intergovernmental agreements and the state grants. So at the end of May, our total revenue in the general fund was at 94% of the annual budget, and the 11-month target would have been 92%. And the total year-to-date revenues are about $4 million ahead of where they were a year ago. Expenses, we are still doing well in responsible resource management at the end of May. Our salaries and EREs are at 76% of budget compared to a 92% target. Operating expenses and encumbrances are at 88% of budget compared to a 92% target. Those two combined give you a total in that third red bar of 80% of budget compared to 92% target, and revenue was right where we expected it to be. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And I did look at June briefly. We did finish strong for the fiscal year.
Thank
So
you.
there's no surprises on the 12-month. We won't come in and say, oh, it was a disaster. The 12-month looks strong just like this.
Thank you. Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Thank you, and thanks for the presentation. So at the end of June, we can anticipate having, on the revenue side, more than the 100% mark.
We should be right at 100%. I don't think we went over.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Supervisor Klein.
I think I'm good, Mayor. Thanks for this. That's good.
I only need one thing, and the reason that the taxes were so much higher
Yes.
is,
Because of, and we've got this written in here, they're due to increases in centrally assessed values and the timing of larger payer payments.
and building permits.
Yes, building permits are the other one. That's where you see that in May where we were up 149,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do see that. So there's more taxable property.
Okay, yeah, no, thank you. We just
Gotta
get it
have
all the
that on
time.
the record.
Why do you keep raising my taxes? It's like, guys, we're not.
No.
You know, there's reasons that the taxes are increasing, but it's not that we're raising taxes.
That's right. The county tax
Thank
rate
you.
has been flat since 2010.
Thank you very much for helping me paint that picture.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. 2-3, public hearing. Information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 21-07-01. The judicial administrative fee schedule beginning January 1st, 2022. Good morning, Joan Barrett.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The judicial fee schedule proposal in front of you now was a collaborative venture that we worked through with the Administrative Office of Courts, County Administration and the Finance Department, and of course our court leadership group. The proposal does have the support of court leadership, the presiding judge, and both of our justices of the peace. So the purpose of the fee schedule is to provide alternative sources of funding for our justice courts. That would allow us to fund contingency items, mitigate and perhaps contain unfunded mandates, and provide some relief to the general fund. The board is authorized to adopt fee schedules pursuant to statute, and courts throughout the state have implemented local fee schedules going back to the going back to the late 90s and early 2000s. The schedule before you consists of two fees. The first is a suspension/default fee of $50 for any matters in which a suspension or a default resulted, civil traffic tickets. And second, a justice court enhancement fee of $20 on any new civil or small claims case filings. These fees would not hinder access to justice. Any financial sanction imposed on a case is subject to an ability to pay determination made by a judicial officer, and any filing fees are subject to certain provisions for fee deferral or waiver, and that's contained in the Code of Judicial Administration. Collections from these fees would be subject to recognized spending requirements. In the case of the suspension or default fee, any of those expenses would be subject to fill the gap spending requirements, which are statutory, and we currently use those for a number of court-related grants now. Court enhancement funds would be subject to JSEF spending requirements, which are also statutory, and again, all of our court stakeholders are familiar with those particular requirements. Those respective requirements were deliberately chosen to dispel any notion of some kind of free spending fund and to align with patterns that were already established and recognized by court staff, finance personnel, our judges, and of course auditors. The fee schedule, if approved, would be effective January 1st, 2022. And with that, I can take any questions.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any questions, Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, John, so you had a public hearing was published. Was there any attendees?
Was not to my
This
knowledge.
is it.
Oh, this is it.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is
I'm
the
sorry.
hearing, sir.
So help me with the language here.
Sure.
Jargon, default judgment or suspension. What does that mean?
That means if after being cited by a law enforcement officer, if you do not appear or do not take the steps necessary to address your ticket or your civil traffic complaint, then the court would ultimately have to take certain steps, including suspension of driving privileges or a default judgment. And if those cases progress to that point, then our court staff have to take additional actions. And so we felt that the fee was warranted to support that.
Okay, all right, thanks for that. And then small claims, the $20 for that, is that anyone that's filing a small claims would just have an additional $20 fee. Is there a fee associated with that now?
There is. There is already a filing fee, small claims. Yeah, it's recently adjusted, but any fees for filing are subject to deferral or perhaps waiver, so we couldn't effectively price anybody out of filing a suit in the county.
Okay. Where it says ability to pay, so if you fine someone and they're not able to pay, you adjust the fine?
Not exactly.
No?
There has to be consequences. The ability to pay determination was part of a larger movement called fair justice. And the fair justice movement realized that courts could impose $20 million in fees and not collect 0.01% of those. And so the ability to pay determination, the judge engages in a dialogue with the defendant or the person about to be sentenced, and they share and look at a lot of financial information, and then the judge develops a payment plan that is like practical.
I see. Okay. All right. Thanks, John.
Sure.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the money that you save on this, Jonathan, I think what we could do is roll it to the sheriff's office and we can catch more of these folks and send them to you for more fees, huh?
We were thinking of running it the other way. But we're open to suggestions.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
And I have no questions, and thank you for the presentation and the answers that were very, very well done. And okay, then I will open up for public hearing. Do we have any public in Payson?
No, Mr. Chair, there's nobody up here.
Do we have anyone on computer land?
Not on this side.
Okay, then I will close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt resolution number 21-07-01.
And I'll second that.
Having a motion a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to public hearing 3B, information, discussion, action to consider a liquor license application, Gila County number LL-21-03, submitted by Michelle Anthony Dolling for a new Series 10 beer and wine license at the Pine Provisions Deli and Bottle Shop, 6240 Hartsgravel Road. Pine, and issue a recommendation to the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control whether the license should be granted. Good morning, Marion. You get this one.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Humphrey and board members. As stated, this is an application for a brand-new license, and the applicant has obtained an interim permit to operate at this Pine Provisions Deli and Bottle Shop. There is an internal review process whereby the Health Department and Community Development Building Inspection Department looks over the application. They have no objections, and the treasurer also looks it over to see if the applicant is behind on any property taxes, and the applicant is not behind, so I just recommend going ahead with the public hearing.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Dolling is on YouTube, so he can type answers to questions if we have them.
Okay. Thank you for being on, and so far we don't, but we may have. Supervisor Christensen, do you have questions on this?
No, Mr. Chairman, I don't.
Supervisor Klein, do you have questions?
No, sir.
Okay, I have no questions, so we will open it to public hearing. Do we have anyone up in Payson that would care to comment on this hearing?
No, there isn't, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions on YouTube?
Mr. Chair, we only have one statement from Mr. Dolling that says that they currently have 2 other businesses in town.
Okay. All right, and I see no public here in this building, so I will close the public hearing and call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I make the motion to recommend that the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control approve the application submitted by Michael Anthony Dolling as presented.
Second that.
I have a motion second. All in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Thank you for being on, and good luck with your further venture, Mr. Dolly. Okay, we're going on to 4, regular agenda items. Information, discussion, action to approve the Gila County Sheriff's Office Deputy Pay Plan Steps Program and authorize the county manager to sign the wage and salary administration for certified law enforcement officers document to become effective July 1st, 2021. Matthew Benny and Sarah White, thank you guys, and you're on.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. This is a project we've been working on for over a year, and we're excited to bring it before you. So this plan applies to sworn deputy sheriff through the sworn lieutenant ranks, and it's to encourage recruitment and retention, as well as fixes inconsistencies in pay for experience that we currently have. This plan, it will allow us to be to compete better with our agency, with our surrounding agencies that we lose our deputies to. The plan replaces any other board of supervisors approved compensation for these sworn officers, and if approved, would be effective July 1st of 2021. The plan is structured so that there are 9 steps for our deputy sheriffs, 6 steps for our sergeants, and 2 steps for our lieutenants. And there is a 2.5% increase between step, regardless of those 3 categories, and then an 8% step between the topped out deputy sheriff and the first step of a sergeant, and likewise between the last step sergeant and the first step lieutenant. We structured it this way to maximize salaries for our deputies who we tend to lose. As far as for recruitment, the plan in and of itself should help us out with recruitment because it promotes parity with the other agencies that we're losing our deputies to, as well as pay for experience, so 1-for-1 lateral experience for laterals, which we badly need, as well as provides for partial credit for military service, as well as detention or DOC time or other applicable law enforcement service. And as well with retention, because it spreads guys out through that 2.5% increase and gives them a reason to stay. So we don't continue to pump money into guys that leave, especially during that time where we need them to move into those trainer roles as well as supervisors. And it's a lot of money at that. And the experience as well as another reason, probably more importantly, that we want to hold on to these guys. So I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you. Supervisor Christensen, do you have questions?
Yes, a few probably. Thank you. Thank you, Under Sheriff Matt. So we've met already, so kind of familiar with what we're doing. So I think you told me there's 32 deputy positions. We have about 8 unfilled at the moment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so trying to find the right word, impact's not the right word, but this will cause a $184,000 increase in the budget to institute this plan.
Correct. It's around that amount. Could get you an exact amount once, if it is approved and it gets implemented by each.
However, if you compare that 184,000 to the loss of deputies that we have, so the last 5 years, 5 have left. The last 3 years, 3 have left. So we're losing about 1 per year. And the training, the skill, the experience, the talent, all of that is lost with just 1 deputy leaving, which equates to more than really 184,000. It's essentially a cost-saving move to adopt this STEP program.
Absolutely.
Plus, it also opens up the ability to bring in a lateral where you don't have to spend the money to send them to the academy.
Yeah, we do save quite a bit of money by bringing laterals over, and the process for getting them on the road by themselves is much quicker with a lateral than
Right.
it is with someone with no experience.
So if you were to fill all of those 8 positions with untrained new recruits, it would cost over $800 million or more
Yes, sir.
to have those brought up to speed. And then if we lost every single one of them in 3 years or 5 years, then it'd be pretty devastating. But if we filled all of those with lateral recruits, we would save that amount of money, essentially.
Right, and that was part of the reason why we incorporated or designed it the way it was to try to facilitate bringing those laterals over. That's
Okay.
what we're hoping.
All right. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Supervisor Klein.
Well put, Mr. Christensen. So this is a way we can suck some of those people back that left us in the past, huh?
love to do
Paybacks
that,
to
sir.
Pinell County might be not good. No, I think it's a good deal, and it is going to save us a lot of money. And it's a way we can keep people, whether we're training them or whatever. So I want to thank you for doing this. This is a good deal.
Yeah, I also want to thank you very much for working on this because, you know, the officers, it's a career move. It's not a job. And so by getting more competitive with people that are career minded, my hat's off to you guys for creating this to help us be competitive in that career. So I think you went over and above in helping some of these people that might want to get out of the city, but they don't jeopardize their career by getting out of the city. So thank you very much for this. And I have no further questions, and if no one else, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I will move to approve the Gila County Sheriff's Office Deputy Pay Plan STEPS program and authorize the county manager's signature on the wage and salary administration certification effective July 1st, 2021.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Thank you very much for the presentation and all the hard work. And be safe out there. Oh, you get the next one too.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. A couple of them, as a matter of fact. Okay, B, information, discussion, action to approve an intergovernmental agreement between the White Mountain Apache Tribe and Gila County for law enforcement services for the period of 3 years from the date of signing. Again, Matthew.
So yes, this is a renewal agreement with the White Mountain Apache Tribe for services on the Fort Apache Indian Reservation. Board of Supervisors approved the original IGA on August 21st of 2017. This new IGA renews the same scope of work as the previous IGA. It is for a 3-year period and can be renewed as long as we try to do it within 30 days of the expiration date.
Okay, thank you very much. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you. No, I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Sheriff, thanks for this. This is good. I guess it's all working out all right for you guys?
Yeah, these agreements definitely help us
Yeah.
out to be able to work with our.
Yeah, thanks.
If you don't mind, this one was kind of timing too, because we had been asked to help them again for their annual fair, as you well know. That request just came across a couple weeks ago, so we pretty much have to have this in place before we can even go up there to make sure we have the authority all taken care of. So, yeah, it's important that not only we have these relationships with our tribes in the county, but also to be able to help them when they have a big event like this.
Yeah, thanks for doing that, Sheriff. I appreciate you guys for that. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and you said that it's the same scope of work of the previous one, so that scope of work must have worked fine, and we're not just doing this to hurry. We're doing it because it all worked, and we didn't need to change anything with it, so great job. I have no further questions. I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the White Mountain Apache Tribe for enforcement services.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously, and you're on again. So we'll go to C, information, discussion, action to approve the authorize the board chairman to electronically sign the drug, gang, and violent crime Control Grant Agreement, FY 2022 Award Cycle 35-Grant Number DC-22-004 between Gila County Sheriff's Office and the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission in the amount of $331,654 to provide continued funding for the Gila County Drug Gang and Violent Crimes Task Force for the period of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, and authorize the board chairman to sign the certifications and assurances by the chief executive of the applicant government. There you go.
Yeah, so this is a renewal agreement between the ACJC and Gila County. On March 4th, we submitted the grant application for $618,629.05, and on June 7th, we received notification of the award of the grant for $331,654. That breaks down to $109,445.81 in federal funds, $139,294.68 in state funds, and then our matching funds from the county of $82,913.51. And it is effective, or would be between July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022.
Thank you. Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Thank you, Matt. But you applied for $618,000, right? So what budget did you get last year on this?
It was a number similar to that, I believe. Sarah would be able to answer that.
Oh, bring in the boss.
So we have level funding with this task force. It actually went up a couple of years ago by a slight number, around 15,000. But we've been level funding the last couple of years. We've been pounding on ACJC, I know the entire time I've been with Sheriff Shepard, to increase our funding, because obviously we all know that we have a drug problem in our communities. And so every year we put in for that increased funding. And basically what that is to increase detectives on the task force, as well as we put in for one admin position for this grant as well. And every year they come back and give us the commander and about 1.5 detectives with no admin support. So that's what that $331,654 provides.
No, thanks, Sarah.
Okay.
What does a half of a deputy look like?
A detective. So what that means for us, what we try to do is go out to the local agencies, and that's what we use that money for, and have them provide a detective maybe for a 90-day or a 6-month stint.
Okay.
What that means for us is we put deputies on temporary assignments into the task force. So we use that half position to pay a deputy to go in as a detective for temp assignments.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Supervisor Klein.
Thanks, you guys. This money here, we've had this discussion not long ago. And so the task force to me is real important and real crucial for our county. If there's ever a way as a county we can get more money involved with this and beef that task force up. I mean, we look at your report, your annual report that you did was unreal for 2 or 3 people. Think what we could do is 6. And so I think maybe going forward as a county and everything, we ought to really look hard at what we can do to beef this task force up and get some more drugs off the street, because they're there. So thank you for all you do with this.
Yes, thank you. I have no questions, and so I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I will move to approve the Drug, Gang, and Violent Crime Control Grant Agreement number DC-22-004 and authorize the contract to be electronically signed.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved. Thank you very much for your presentations today, and be safe out there.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to D, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 1 to contract number CTR 055335, formerly IGA 2020-017, Gila County Healthy People, Healthy Community in the amount of $443,715, beginning July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. That is between the Arizona Department of Health Services and Gila County Health and Emergency Management Department, which replaces contract number IGA 20720-01 to continue providing services under the Healthy People, Healthy Communities program. Mr. Driscoll, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. So this is a current contract we've had with the State Health Department for years. They're just going back to a different procurement system, so they're renaming the contract numbers. We're still keeping the same programs. They've changed some of the language in there based on the recommendations of the Auditor General, and they've also included language in there that we're allowed to use this staff, lessons learned during COVID, we're allowed to use this staff during a public health emergency without their permission up to 30 days. So that's really important that they're putting that in there, because we ran into an issue during COVID where we couldn't use any of our employees that were grant related. We had to ask for a waiver, and that took several weeks to get. So this allows us to go ahead and use the employees who are working on this grant during a public health emergency preparedness, either an exercise or an actual event like COVID. And then some of the other language in there, again, based on the Auditor General's. And then one of the added programs that they wanted all counties in Arizona to do is, with this funding, create a suicide prevention committee. And so it's very similar to our opioid review committee, where suicides that happen in Gila County, this committee will meet and they will get all the necessary medical paperwork and have a review board review all the suicides and give a report to the governor's office, which is mandated by Governor Ducey down through the state health department down to the local health department. So this is going to be an easy transition because we have the opioid review committee. We're just going to add the suicide review committee to that job responsibilities as well. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you. Michael, this is just, it's all grant money.
Correct.
Right. So, okay. Thank you. That's all I.
Oh, you bet, sir.
Supervisor Klein.
I think I'm good, Michael. Thanks.
You bet, sir.
I'm good, and thank you very much for all the hats you wear. I don't know how you juggle all of this, but congratulations. Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion to approve amendment number 1 to contract number CTR 055335.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. You're up for another couple. So here we go to E, information, discussion, action to authorize the chairman of the Board of Supervisors to sign a quitclaim deed to quitclaim all rights, title, and interest in the property formerly the Gila County Animal Shelter located at 700 West Hackney Avenue, Globe, Arizona, to the City of Globe. Mr. O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the board. At this time, I would ask the board to table this item to a future board meeting. Just about 4 or 5 days ago, we received word from the Gila County Assessor's Office that they have located a 1926 deed that may impact who owns what parcels within the cemetery. And the agreement seems to be between the City of Globe and Gila County. It's a hard to read document, so I'm going to need a little bit of time to go ahead and see if that's going to impact this item. And if there is no impact, then I'll just resubmit it as is. But if there isn't another, if there's another impact on who owns what parcels out there, then I'll rewrite this and send it on through the county attorney's office for their review as well. So that's where we're at right now. So 1926 is coming back here.
Well, thank you very much. I'll call for a motion to chair or table this.
Can I ask a question? Or
of me, of Michael, of the attorney, of whom?
Of Michael.
Sure. He's open for questions.
Okay, so this is where the old animal shelter was.
That's correct,
And
sir.
we presumably own this property.
Maybe.
Well,
He
okay, so
doesn't
let's say
put
we
that-
did own it. I mean, we're assuming we're owning it by quit claiming it. So why would we give it away rather than sell it or do something else?
So the issue here is it's joint, it's possible that we own half of that property underneath there. The city of Globe is running out of cemetery space, so they're wanting that property free and clear so they could bury the residents. They're going to run out in the next 2 to 3 years, I think, of lot space out there. So the idea behind this is we build a new shelter, move into there, we give this property to the city of Globe in good faith because they need that space for cemetery lots. That was the direction I received probably about 4 or 5 years ago. The issue now is we were under the assumption that we did own half the property with the city of Globe, but we couldn't locate any documents when we did our research. And so the assessors was looking a little bit deeper and found this document from 1926. And I haven't had time to review it just yet, so that's why I would like to table this and review it and then give the board ample opportunity to take a look at that document.
Mr. Chair and Supervisor Christensen, there's also, we're talking about the folklore has said that we have had half interest in the land. We don't necessarily own the building that it's sitting on. We think the city owns the land, half the land. We're just trying to get to the very end of what half of what land do we own. And the 1926 deed that the assessor's office found may shed some light on that.
Yeah, my only question about that is that, we're giving away value, so I just don't know how much value there is there, though. Okay?
You betcha, sir.
Okay.
And what I believe I'll do is once I sit down and find out exactly what the 1926 document lies, I'll forward my report on to Mr. James Benlove and Jackie, and hopefully they'll reach out to you to get your input on to the next steps.
Thank you, Michael. Mr. Chairman, I will move that we table item 4E until future date.
Okay, that's a motion. Supervisor Klein, do you second?
I will if I can make a statement after that.
Okay, you can make a statement before you second it. if you want.
Okay. Just to clarify things for Supervisor Christensen too is we don't want to be in the cemetery business, and the town really needs that property. There's not a lot of property there, and so they desperately need it. And I think it's a good move to give that to the city. Whatever we have to give, we may not have anything to give by the time it's all said and done. So I don't know, but that's the way I would look at it. So, and I second that motion.
Well, thank you. And okay. Having a motion second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was tabled. Okay, you're up one more time. F, information, discussion, action to review all bids submitted for a request for proposal number 052421, sub-grantee for COVID-19 school wraparound support services award to the lowest, most responsive, responsible, and qualified company, and to authorize the chairman's signature on the award, and to accept the Gila County ELC School Reopening Grant Award in the amount of $828,927 for the period August 1st, 2021 through May 31st, 2022. Mr. O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. So back on June 1st, this Board of Supervisors authorized a newspaper advertisement for requests for proposals for this grant money. This is COVID CDC grant money for school wraparound services. They were advertised in the Payson Roundup on June 8th and June 15th, and the bids were due midday, June 23rd, and we received only one bid. We sent it out to 9 different consultants, and we received one bid, and it did meet the qualifications for this grant money. So my recommendation is to award this to Wowza LLC, who is the only bidder on this RFP. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Supervisor Christensen.
I think you know. I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I think I'm good. Michael, yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, then no further questions. I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to award grant number 052421 to Wowza, WOWZA LLC for the amount of $828,927.
And I will second that.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time today. Moving on to G, information discussion action to adopt resolution number 21-07-02 authorizing the installation of regulatory signage at the intersection of South El Camino and South Obscure Way located in Inspiration Township of Claypool in Gila County. Mr. Thomas Goodman, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is a request for the installation of a regulatory sign, a stop sign, at the intersection of South El Camino and South Obscure Way, located in Inspiration Townsite of Claypool in Gila County. The Public Works Department received numerous requests from homeowners in the area to evaluate the signage at the intersection and see if anything could be done to improve the safety of the intersection. Engineering staff assessed the intersection for safety. Due to the limited sight visibility of the intersection, the staff feels it's necessary that traffic approaching South El Camino from South Obscure Way be required to stop at the intersection. And so we are recommending a stop sign be installed at that location. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Thomas. Only an observation. Why would you name a road obscure?
I'm not. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Just an observation.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for responding to public call-ins. That's great that they reach out and then you reach out to see what you can do, and I'm grateful for that. Okay, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 21-07-02.
And I'll second that.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to H, information discussion action to adopt human resources policy number BOS-HRS-160, attendance, holidays, and leave, which replaces Rule 23 attendance, holidays, and leave under the Gila County Merit System rules and procedures. Alan Woolsomi. Good morning.
Morning. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, as discussed last week, this is in order to update our numbers. And we did a comparison of all the counties in the state, as well as especially the 6 counties surrounding us. And this should bring us more in line with what everybody else is doing. And it should help us with recruiting, especially with deputies. Because it came up with a discussion of them when we were talking about the salary schedule. And they said, there is one other thing that's out of whack. And they were right. So we recommend that this be adopted.
Well, good. Thank you. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good, Alan. Thanks.
Alan, thank you very much for shaking things up, and you're in front of us to pass these things, and thanks for making it better. It's great to get the dust off some of this stuff, and so I appreciate it very much. And if there's no further questions, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to adopt human resources policy number BOS-HRS-160.
I will second that motion.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved. Okay, moving on to I. Information discussion action to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bids number 031821. Michelson Building renovation to obtain bids from general contractors. Homero, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, Supervisor Christensen and Klein. This board item requests your approval to advertise for bids for the Michelson Building renovation. I'm going to introduce the item. I'm going to talk a little bit about the partnership, and then I'm going to pass it on to Mark Borden to talk about the technical aspects of the building and a little bit of the history. So this effort is a partnership with the City of Globe. Linda Ordanero is here with us this morning, representing the City of Globe and that partnership. It's also a partnership with Freeport McMoran, and Robin Bradford, I believe, is online, and she would be willing to share her support and enthusiasm as the board requires for this project. And also Pinto Valley Capstone is another partner in this effort. We also, of course, have Gila County, and behind me are Chris Romiti, Brittany Morrissey, and Mark Warden are sitting in the audience representing facility management for the county. They've worked very hard on this project for about a year or so. The renovation of the building will provide for a regional business incubator, which will provide shared workspaces for businesses that are in a startup mode and other businesses that may need that kind of a shared workspace environment. It also will serve as a visitor center. This is a 2-story building. Mark will share a little bit of the statistics on it. It's ample in size and will do very well as an incubator, as a regional incubator. Freeport McMoran has contributed $150,000 to this project, and Pinto Valley Capstone has contributed $25,000 as well. Gila County has budgeted to match these contributions. We have a total of $350,000. So we're going out for bids. We can kind of estimate what the cost is, but we'd like to see what the bids will show. The bidding process will determine if the $350,000 commitment that we have right now from our partners is sufficient, and if not, we'll work with our partners for additional funding. If you have questions on the partnership, happy to answer them now. If not, I'd like to turn it over to Mark to give you a little bit of the history and the things that we're doing to the building. If not, I'll come back. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. Good morning, Mark. We don't
Good
see
morning,
you in front
Mr.
of us
Chair.
very often.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Good
Thank
morning,
you.
Mr. Chair, members of the board. Well, it is good to be here, and it's an exciting time for Gila County facilities. We got a lot of projects going on, like you guys know. This one, to me, is a special one, it being an older building. Building was built in 1929, so it is 92 years old. It is a solid concrete building, poured concrete walls, concrete floors. The county acquired this building in October of 1991. They used it to house the county attorney's child support division, and upstairs was the investigators and detectives. Building was previously, before that, it was a men's dress clothing store, Carmed's. Before that, it was a grocery store. Upstairs has been a lawyer's office, dentist's office, and that's where the county attorneys had their, I believe the detectives were there, and victim services. One of the major problems of the building over time, it has original site-built trusses, which over time have become weak, structurally unsound, due to numerous leaks. At this point, we have worked to try to mitigate those leaks by putting some underlayment on top of the roof. We've done several things, but there are still leaks. I went down and checked it Friday after we did some work last week, and it's still dripping in some places, but I believe we did a lot to minimize any future damage. So in 2017, the county vacated this building. They moved the county attorneys back to the courthouse and to the Guerrero building. And in mid-2019, a joint venture was established between the City of Globe and Gila County, as Homer said, to turn a building into a small business incubator. And that's something that would benefit not only the community, or not only the city or Globe, but the whole community. It'd be a positive impact. Sorry. So through some work with Karen Page, the architect, myself, and the city, we have come up with a plan that's been vetted and approved by all vested parties, and we seek to request bids to make this project happen. At this time, I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Oh, my name is Mark Warden. I am the project manager for Gila County Facilities.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So we're thinking it's going to cost $350,000 or less. We're thinking we're going to put it out for bid. We'll find out.
Correct.
Let's see, is there any other renovations that need to go on? What about ADA requirements for this building and other issues that to bring it up to become what we're talking about?
ADA requirements would be sort of difficult for the second floor.
Yeah.
So that's going to be restricted to the first floor. And the first floor is going to get 2 bathrooms that are ADA compliant. So there'll be the 5-foot turning radiuses, baby changing stations, things like that.
Okay. Do you know what the value of this property is right now in its current state?
There was an evaluation done, I believe, in 2019, and it was around $100,000, but that was in 2019.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a good project. It'll be a really good thing for our community and surrounding areas, like you said. My question is, and I know you can't answer this one, is just with the increase in construction costs today, you know, they're up, what, 30% or so?
Lumber prices are
300.
Yeah, so
About
it's
about 300.
Yeah, so that's my biggest question, and only time will tell when that goes out for bid as
Correct.
to what that answer will be. So, but it is a really good project. It's a needed project, and it'll do well. So thank you for working on it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, a question on the scope of work that's going out for bid. Did you do the scope of work? Did you have help with the scope of work?
I wrote the scope of work following the architect's drawings and the structural drawings that were provided by her structural people. Also, she had the plumbing and electrical and the mechanical designed by IMEG. So I took everything they had and I wrote a comprehensive scope of work to cover the whole project.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, that's very nice. Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll call for a motion.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bids number 031821.
And I'll second that.
Having a motion, a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Linda, thank you for all the help and interest in this, and Freeport and Capstone and Mark. Thank you all very much.
Good
I think
job.
it'll be good for the community. Okay, moving on to J. Information, discussion, action to provide the results of the public surplus online auction for those properties that were deeded to the State of Arizona CO Board of Supervisors in 2020, and to request authorization of the chairman to sign quitclaim deeds for the sale of the following properties: 101-09-111A, 206-03-213, 206-18-047, 206-21-014, 207-09-122, 207-18-054, 207-28-075, and 208-02-499A. Marion Shepherd.
Thank you, Chairman Humphrey and board members. As you know, due to COVID, the board did not conduct a live auction of those properties that were deeded to the state in care of the Board of Supervisors in 2020. After that decision was made, I looked into an alternative. I had heard some other counties were using public surplus to do these auctions online. I spoke to the clerks of Pinal County and Navajo County, and they successfully had auctions and did very well through public surplus. So at that time, we contacted public surplus, and Missy and I talked with them, and I went to Mary Springer, the finance director, and Mr. Minlove, and got approval to proceed with the online auction. So once we made that decision and got all the approvals, Missy just kind of took the ball and ran with it. And she did the training. I trained with her, but she really did the training. She had to input all the information into public surplus's system. She had to answer a lot of questions from public surplus. And then in the meantime, we're getting a lot of questions from the public about the auction. So I just want to publicly thank her for all she did. I'm so proud of her because it just really removed any stress from me. I mean, every single question she kept saying, just forward it to me. I'll do it. I'll do it. So it really meant a lot for her to just take this project on her own since we were doing it for the very first time. And I would like her to present the report. Thank you.
Good morning, Missy. Go ahead.
Supervisors. Due to COVID-19, the Board of Supervisors annual live auction was not held for 2020 in December. We were kind of bummed about that because it's one time a year we actually get to do our live auction and have people come in. But with the online auction through public surplus that was held April 19th, 2021 through May 2nd, 2021, for the sale of 14 properties that were deeded in 2020. That was very interesting because it never shut off. It was live that entire time. So any questions or concerns were coming through the public surplus during that time frame. Bids were submitted for all 14 properties, but some bidders defaulted after the auction was over on payment. So we only ended up selling 8 properties. And we had a total of $69,799.05 was collected and deposited with the county treasurer on June 9th of 2021. And this resulted in a net profit of $48,061.74 over the lien amount, and the 8 properties are now once again on the tax rolls. In the near future, the treasurer right now is actually working on the new deeded properties for 2021 that go to the state. And with the board's approval, we would like to continue selling these properties through public surplus. Does anybody have any questions?
Supervisor Christensen.
No, I don't have any questions, but I'll also thank you and Marion for doing that.
Supervisor Klein.
Good job, Missy. That's awesome. Thanks for that. Well, you know, when you look at the buyers out there, but how many total bidders did we have on that?
Well, a lot of them were bidding back and forth. So on certain properties, we had over 150 bidders on one property, but some of them were duplicated because they were bidding wars. I was disappointed when we had the defaulting because we actually ended up selling them all. And I was really excited. But I think that now that we kind of know the process, that we know the ins and outs and what we can and can't do and how we need to go about making it a little bit better.
Well, you did an awesome job. And so the ones that were defaulted on will come back up in the next sale, whenever that is?
They won't come up in the 2021 sale because it's only for the properties that are deeded within that time frame that year. But what we're planning on doing, and I'm working on it now, is putting all of our over-the-counter sales onto a live auction, and let's see what we do.
Oh, good.
But that's going to take some time to upload all those because it's all manually entered. So it's an interesting process.
Good job. Thank you, Missy.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's got to add a lot to your process by putting it out there to have I mean, we've done auctions here and there was maybe a handful of people, and now all of a sudden you've got 150 wanting to ask you questions about a property because they're calling from out of state and haven't seen it or don't know anything. So your workload just got extremely heavy, but thank you very much for reaching out to help us with some of these abandoned properties. And if there's no further questions, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion to authorize the chairman of the board to sign quitclaim deeds as presented for the public surplus online auction.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved. Thank you, Missy. Okay, number 5, consent agenda action items. Any matter on the consent agenda will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed and voted upon as a regular agenda item upon the request of any member of the Board of Supervisors. Does anyone care to take off any of the items A through M and discuss it as a regular agenda item? Supervisor Christensen?
No, I do not.
Supervisor Klein?
I'd like to ask a question on the first one. And maybe Mary would know. But did our local vendor bid on our fuel contract this year?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, the contract that was let in 2019 had extensions in the contract. So what you have before you is an amendment. I think it's amendment number 2. We did not go back out for bid this year.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mary. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, then if there's none to be removed, I'll call for a motion to accept the consent agenda action items.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I move to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5M.
And I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. All items were approved. Before I go on to 6, Mayor, thank you for stepping in. Good to see you today. Mayor Globe just walked in, Mr. Algamaros. Okay, we are opening up to 6, call to the public. Do we have any public in Payson that would care to address the board today?
No, we do not, Mr. Chair.
Do we have anyone on YouTube to address the board today? Okay, Mayor, did you care to address us today, or you just pop in to say hi?
Just popped in to say hi and look at one of your agenda items, but I was a little late. Apologize.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Okay, and I see no call to the public here. Okay, moving on to 7. At any time during the meeting pursuant to ARS 38-431.02K, members of the Board of Supervisors and County Manager may present a brief summary of current events. No action may be taken upon the information presented. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not a lot of activity recently, but what I was working with the Brants, the Pine Strawberry Fuel Reduction people, the group, and there's a few concerns coming up. The Pina Poco, which is a project of a Forest Service project where they're going to be removing fuels out of the Pine Creek Canyon. Trails access is a concern that they also have there. They're concerned that some access might be denied, so I'm working with them on that. And the improvement of the Highline Trail is one of their main projects. So they want to turn that into a trail where all people can use it, where it's flatter, not necessarily up and down and problematic, where even bicyclists and things like that can use it. So been working on that. And Woody and I, this last, when was it, Saturday? No, anyway.
Yeah, I lost track of that one.
Yeah, whenever this was, we're there to present a check to the Star Valley town government to make some improvements in trees and that, and also the irrigation, additional trees at the Diane McDaniel Park. And so we presented that check, and they're going to be using the local what is it, Star Valley, what's it? Yeah, the nursery right there, right. See, I need to drink more water. Also tomorrow, you're all invited, supervisors, to join at the Boatman Remembrance Ceremony, which is tomorrow at the Manizal Casino. Mr. Boatman died a year ago tomorrow in a helicopter crash fighting the Polis fire. That's all I have.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, that was Thursday. We were there in Star Valley, so that was good. And the remembrance is what time, 2 o'clock?
Promptly at 2 o'clock.
Okay, thanks. So on Wednesday, on the 30th, June 30th, I was scheduled to do a youth partnership talk in Young, but that was canceled. They didn't have enough folks register for that. Thursday, we were in Star Valley with the town there on that Mr. Christensen brought up. Yesterday, I was on KMOG on the radio spot, on our monthly radio spot. Had some good discussions. Is on fire, but it wasn't about suppression or anything like that. It was about the fact that we have to push more to turn that money around up front for prevention more than suppression. And basically what that means is we're going to have to get some money back in the Department of Ag for those folks to do that. And that's going to take some doings and get back on track with their fuels treatment projects and all that. It went really well. Charlie is very good and easy for me to talk to on the radio, and he asked a lot of good questions. So it went really, really good. This Thursday, we're headed back to D.C. for the NACO workshop, and I'm on the Public Lands Committee, and we're going to be dealing with some resolutions and some other important issues, in which the one is going to be fires and what's going on with fires for sure. But some of these resolutions, I'll give you an idea. One of them is the wilderness designations that without input from the states and counties. Basically, we're wanting to have more say on the wilderness resolutions and how that impacts us. Full payment PLT, payment in lieu of taxes. We're still pushing to try and get that fully funded every year. It seems like we've worked on it for 5 years that I've been in this chair, and we have not been able to get that just totally done yet. So we'll be working on that. Use of targeted grazing for wildland fire management, whether that's cattle, sheep, whatever it is something that's going to be discussed. Wildland fire management regulations and policies. That's a big one, and that's where a lot of these changes need to start taking place, along with the funding. And I don't know how that's going to go. The chief that's there currently, she is retiring the end of July. So basically, we'll get to talk to her for a little while, and then she's out the door. And I haven't had a chance to meet the new one. Hopefully he's there. And then the 30 by 30 Biden executive order. And that's basically asking the administration to engage with the impacted counties like us, where we have a lot of public lands. So those are the resolutions that the Public Lands Committee will be dealing with in D.C. that I'm on. And other than that, I think that's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of meetings for me, a lot of phone meetings. Was at a NACO, National Transportation Committee meeting, participated in a rural transportation adequacy meeting, talked with Senator Kelly several times on the deal with our fires and our flooding, and it's going to be an emergency situation for us for probably the next 5 years. And during the fire, we had a lot of evacuation center and help with that, but now that we're in floods, everybody went home. So we're trying to work out something for the people that are going to lose their homes because of flooding, not just because of fire. So anyway, it's been real busy trying to get something together, because we're burnt from one end of my district to the other, all the way out to Roosevelt. So for the last 3 years, all the fires are still in jeopardy of flooding, and we're still flooding from the Woodbury fire and closing roads. So we're trying to get something together to try to help the local people in these states of emergency that you never know they're coming till they hit you. And we're going to be in that for the next 5 years. So going to hold a Tonto Basin meeting this evening, and I believe this month I'm scheduled for the radio. So we finally get on the radio, so people will be able to call in and ask questions, and I'll be able to try to help them with information that's going on within the community and see what their needs will be live. So anyway,
I got one
Okay,
more.
yeah,
that I s-
okay,
that I
good.
skipped.
Supervisor Klein, we're back to you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just real quick, the permittees that were all affected by these fires, I believe there's 9 of them. What we did was between the Winkleman NRCD board and the Tono NRCD board, which I'm on. But anyway, we brought on 2 ladies. One is Amber Barton from Dripping Springs. They'll work with the permittees on that side of the line. And the other one is Cassie Wagner out of Star Valley, actually out of Oxbow. And that'll work on this side line. And what they're doing is they're going around to the permittees and taking inventory of everything that's burned up and consolidating that into a list that hopefully will be going through the state for some relief on structures, infrastructures that they lost. So just so you know.
Yeah, I always wonder about infrastructure loss. Well, if they can't run cattle for the next 5 years, what kind of loss is that? Because there's nothing for them to eat, so they got to sell all their cattle. So, yeah. So,
Well, yeah, and the big thing of this, and what a lot of people don't understand, was in 2001, 2002, when the NRCS did their big project to bring a lot of stuff back on the ground as far as fences and water developments and all that after the 2000 drought. That was millions of dollars of tax dollars that paid for that. And so those are the infrastructures that's getting burned up today. So we as taxpayers have already paid for it once. And it's gone. And we need to build that case and show that back towards the management of our public lands. You know, when we don't do anything on our public land side and these fires hit, we need to be able to show that this is the cost that's really hitting us besides the floods and everything else. We need to consolidate all that and show that, hey, you spend a few $1 million a year is a whole lot cheaper than what we're losing when something like the Telegraph fire hits. So, thank you.
yeah, agreed. I think we ought to flood Washington with videos of what's been happening to our communities. But anyway, okay, I will turn it over to Jackie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. My only additional comment following on the heels of the comments we had prior to the meeting, we spent a lot of this weekend working on floods. And just so you know, we have 2 crews of 2 folks in the canyons collecting the cooperator agreements. We've been pushing pretty hard for about the last 10 days that if folks want to help us and us to help them, cooperator agreements to have contractors come clean in the washes. And so we have folks out again today. We had them out on Friday and we have them out again today collecting those. And I just wanted you to know that if you hear that, we have folks in Ice House and Kellner today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Homero, did you have anything that you would care to share with us today?
Yes, sir. Steve would have reported this, but he had a lot of notes and talked about gauges being operational last week. Actually, him and Corey Helton, J.E. Fuller, were on the phone Saturday, and Corey was reading some of the gauges to him. But we will have a link to those gauges on our website by the end of today. That's our target. Cameras go up on Thursday, and we will have a link to the cameras immediately after the cameras are operational. And that's with the support of J.E. Fuller, Tom Holman, and Steve Sanders.
Go ahead, Supervisor Klein.
So those cameras are going to be placed on these washes for the
Yes,
floods?
they are. 6-shooter, bloody tank squash, and I think it's Kellner Canyon. We selected three of the canyons that we want to put them in on these cameras.
So is this going to be a live feed, or is it just going to be?
Every 15 minutes, it shows you a photo. When it detects, when the gauges detect water, it starts taking a picture every 5 minutes.
Good. Thank you, Homero. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate yeah, anything we can do to give people a little bit of warning, and I just recommend that people look at the sky. If there's a storm 2 miles from you and you're downwind of it, get ready because you got water coming. Okay, if no one has any other questions or comments or things going on.
I think the mayor does, Mr. Chair.
The mayor, would you like to share something with us today? And we are live on YouTube as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'll take advantage of speaking.
I want to thank the cooperation of the county, that we've been working together to get these cooperative agreements to get into these creeks. I know there were some concerns when the hydrologist report came out and the gave a 10-year and 100-year report, and people thought it was going to happen. Well, it did, really, this weekend with the water that came down. But the cooperation to get those contractors out in the creek, that was a big concern. And so we had a meeting on, I think it was Thursday, and Steve Sanders was there, Carl Malford, and the hydrologist, and they were able to give a report of everything that was going on. And that helped a little bit ease a little bit of the tension that's been out there with what we're anticipating with these burns and the flooding. So we appreciate the cooperation of the county and the city and the state working together.
You bet, Mayor. Thank you very much for everybody working together. It makes a better community.
You bet.
It sure does.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. And if there's nothing else, I will adjourn today's meeting. Thank you.